Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Allison and I have a new scrapbooking layout to share with you. This one is a 12 by 12 traditional scrapbooking layout, and it is also a mixed media layout. I was inspired by the traveler's notebook that I made yesterday and the watercolor stamping that I did. I decided to do watercolor stamping in a different way. Instead of stamping a stamp, I stamped on my acrylic blocks and then stamped those directly to the paper after I gave it a spritz of water. I used 3 different colors. I used yellow, orange, and red. I find when you stamp this way, as you would do with any stamping, always start with your lighter color first and then move on to the darker color. That way you don't contaminate your ink pads with a darker color in the lighter ink pad. Hopefully that makes sense and I didn't confuse you too badly. I did this twice, so there is a brown, green, and blue leaf as well as the red, orange, and yellow leaf as well. I used my heat tool to dry those, and then I took them to my Cricut and die cut leaves, glue them together. The back, because they cut in 2 pieces, the back part of the leaf die cut is just a plain brown cardstock that I had in my stash. It is actually close to my heart cardstock that I'm using in today's layout. So that is behind the watercolored leaves, and it's also behind these thinner, longer, spindly leaves as well. I glued those together using my Tombow Mono liquid glue, and then I'm going to go ahead and add them to my layout base. I began by adhering my white layout base to a red piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. I trimmed the white cardstock down to 11 3/4 squared. And then I decided to add some spray mist to the background. So I started with Distress Oxide or Distress Spray in Salvaged Patina. I found it wasn't really quite the right blue that I wanted to go with, so I remedied that by pulling out Prize Ribbon, which is the first time I have used that ink. Yay! I'm so excited, and by the way, it's beautiful. And I sprayed it really lightly over top of the Salvaged Patina, and I really like the depth that that gave to this layout. It feels more true to the sky, and how the sky would generally have different shades of blue in it anyways, depending how high or low into the atmosphere that you would be going. So in my mind, that was the perfect solution. It worked really, really well. So now I'm just gluing my leaves to the layout base. I have two 2x3 photos that I'm adhering to this layout, and they're going to be kitty corner from each other. I did map my photos to some extra white cardstock. I'm not sure if I show you that in this video or not, but I killed a piece of scrap white cardstock that I had in my stash, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm just sticking the leaves to 2 opposing corners of my photos using liquid glue. I want to be sure that they stick to the layout because of the mixed media in the background. Oh, I should mention as well that I didn't use any gesso to treat my paper before I sprayed the mists. Usually when I use spray mist, I don't bother with the gesso because I'm not applying so much that it's really going to soak through the paper really badly. So I usually just skip that step. I'm working on adhering the title now as well. You can see that I got the bottom photo and cluster all adhered to my layout as well. And I decided to use foam squares to adhere the title, which is beautiful. It is also a die cut that I cut with my Cricut. This is a pre-made file. I didn't create it myself. It got adhered obviously between both of the photos. I just trimmed my foam squares in half so that they were thin enough to hide behind the cut file. The rest of the title I am stamping, so the full title is going to be Such a Beautiful Place. And that is essentially the area that I live. This layout echoes my traveler's notebook layout that I made yesterday. If you're interested in checking that video out, I will link it in the description box below, as well as the entire playlist for my traveler's notebook series. So if you want to see all of them, you will be directed to the right place. I'm nearly done my layout already. I'm just adding a couple of branding strips that I trimmed down to small little chunks to act as like strips of washi tape. And they are going to go on the ends of both my pictures, one on each. And then I'm going to embellish just a little bit on each of those washi tapes, quote unquote, as well. I'm using some Tim Holtz phrase stickers. One is going over top of that little star, which is from Ellie Studio. And then the next one is going to go next to the chipboard flare, which is from Pink Fresh Studio, and it is from their Let's Stay Home collection. I've really been trying to find ways to use up those chipboard flares because I've made a good dent in them already and I want to get them used up. I'm done my COVID scrapbooking, so I'm just trying to find ways to get those little suckers used up. Next, I'm adding my journaling. It's just a couple lines. It'll be a really, really abridged version of the journaling in my traveler's notebook. I'm adding the date. And with that, this layout is complete. I absolutely love how this layout turned out. I absolutely love the stamping technique that I used on my leaves and really want to employ that more in the future in my crafting. I thought this would work really, really well for these leaves to highlight the fall aspect of this story. I can't honestly think of a better way to use this type of stamping other than for fall themed layouts. Here are my close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this layout inspired you and I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and a like. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing that. I'd love to have you. I'll be back again soon with more creative inspiration. Bye, friends.